All right, folks, it is Preaching Gem Night tonight. Once again, I want to explain to you my new t-shirt. Well, I've had it for a while, but I'm now wearing it on this program, and how these numbers work. Jesus equals 888 in Greek. That is the 6 letters of the name Jesus, Jesus, in Greek, by Divine Ordinance, add perfectly to the famous 888. Oxygen is 8 protons, 8 neutrons, 8 electrons, 1, 2, 3, 8 to the glory of the Creator. Jesus equals 888. And love in Hebrew equals 8 exactly. So you see how God uses all languages and all physical things in this entire universe to glorify Jesus Christ and Himself, the Triune God, the Trinity. Okay, God, the Father, Jesus Christ, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. He uses all languages. So these are 3 big examples. This is from Greek. Jesus equals 888 in Greek. This is in Hebrew. Love equals 8 exactly in Hebrew. And oxygen, in the physical world, is 8 protons, 8 neutrons, 8 electrons. So these are 3 big examples for the number 8. For the glory of Jesus equals 888. And that's why I'm wearing this shirt. That's why this YouTube channel is named what it is, so that it's very easy for people to find on the internet all over the world. They just Google Jesus 888. And chances are you'll get one of my videos coming up on the first page on the top of the list, and you'll get tons more as more people enter in and dig up all this gold and spread it abroad for the whole world to understand. So, let's do this. This is exciting. I got 2 more massive, I kid you not. I just go treasure hunting. I was so excited. I went out at 8 o'clock, 8 p.m. tonight, went down to Target first, then Real Canadian Superstore, and just gathered literally about $200 worth of merchandise, most of which is going to be returned. Thank God for return policies. It's that easy. This is all free of charge. We are just solving all these products in all these videos excitedly to the glory of the Triune God, who owns everything in world history. And we are going to go through them piece by piece and marvel at the glory of God in this story that we are born into. So, let's get started. Tonight is pasta night. And so, we're going to start with some products in pasta land and words related to pasta. And this is just mind-blowing. Like, I have loved pasta my whole life. Spaghetti and meat sauce. Basically, I could eat that like nightly. Pizza as well. Pizza and pasta both divide by 3. We're just going to dive right into the numbers and get hilarious on this. Okay. So, by way of introduction, pasta divides by 3, and pizza divides by 3, and okay, let's just jump into products, because this is going to get funny real quickly. And I love picking the funny ones because God has always chosen the meek things of the earth. So, product number 1, 2, and 3 is Alpha-Getty. I'm not joking, folks. I'm not joking. Alpha-Getty adds to 99 perfectly, okay, which is king for the number 3. And letters adds to 99 perfectly. Alpha-Getty is, of course, letters. This is, and grade 3 children can do this math, okay? Alpha-Getty adds to 99 and letters adds to 99. That's what Alpha-Getty is. Well, it's that number by Divine Ordinance to the glory of the Triune God. And yes, for your confirmation, Zoodles, which is a sister product also produced by Heinz, is exactly 3 points less. It's 96. And yes, Animals adds to 69, which also divides by 3. Amazing. Okay? So it's all dividing by 3 as always. And then, of course, the classic word spaghetti. That is like the famous word in Pastaville. If you were to ask someone to name a word that comes to mind when they say, like, name a type of pasta, chances are people are going to say spaghetti. So spaghetti divides by 3 as well. Okay? And tomato divides by 3 just like potato. But we're going to get into the fascinating details in a moment. But I'm purposely starting off with fun ones. And yes, by the way, Boyardee also divides by 3. Okay? I'm explaining to you why every product is what it is. It's all for the glory of God. So here's our list of notes on the numbers of all the terms and gems, we call them, in world history that all divide by 3. And then we're going to focus on some of the stunning ones that actually equal each other and are just insanely beautiful. Alrighty then. So, spaghetti adds perfectly to 105. Divides by 3, tons of 3s all through it. You can study all the letters, you'll get so many 3s, it's awesome. Alphagetti, this is really cool. So the fact that alphagetti equals 99 and letters equals 99, that is incredible. Because it's all about letters, and letters equal numbers, and alphagetti equals 99, letters equals 99. This is a big gem. Pasta is traditionally made of wheat. And that is what it has traditionally been made of from the dawn of time. Pasta is wheat. That is true original pasta. Now there's, different kind of rice pasta and all this other stuff. But pasta has always been wheat. And for your confirmation, as it was for me, wheat equals pasta. Before your very eyes. Wheat equals pasta. Equals the famous 57. And as an added bonus in world history, the company Heinz is called 57 Varieties. Well, 57, very famous, I don't even need to talk about it. It's a triple of the 8th prime, triple eights, same value as Mary, same value as George in world history. That's why Heinz is called, it came up with the slogan 57 Varieties. If you read the story of how he came up with that number 57, amazingly, but not surprisingly, he saw an ad by another shoe company that talked about them having 21 styles. And of course 21 is king for the number 3, okay? And 57 is also divides by 3. It's God's story. Nothing happens by accident. That is the message of this entire program and the divine truth that God is sovereign. 0 happens by accident. Nothing happens by accident. God planned everything down to the details so that the numbers are maximum for His glory. Yes, that is the truth. So wheat equals pasta equals 57. Literally, 888. 57 is 3 times 19. 19 is the 8th prime. 57 is 888 by the law of prime. Jesus takes the glory for all wheat. He takes the glory for all pasta. 888. Wheat equals pasta. And then, oh boy, noodles, noodles equals 84 divided by 3. Tomato equals 84 divided by 3. Here's a fun one for you. Mr. Noodles. Who hasn't heard of Mr. Noodles? I'm just saying it's insane, folks. It's insane how everything you've ever talked about, wait till we get to craft dinner. I'm not joking. Craft dinner is like the most stunningly beautiful mathematical ordinance of all time. It's mind-blowing how all of these products and words that we've all been saying our whole lives are so mathematically beautiful for the number 3, it's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. And then you can start combining all these terms together to get more beautiful 3s and all sorts of chain linkages like wheat, spaghetti, put them together. You get a triple of love and all this stuff. Okay? But Mr. Noodles. I mean, who hasn't heard of Mr. Noodles? Well, why has everyone heard of Mr. Noodles? Why is Mr. Noodles more famous than my name? Why is Mr. Noodles more famous than your name? Why is Mr. Noodles more famous than, of course, the definition of fame is just who's heard of it, right? Why has everyone heard of this thing called Mr. Noodles? I mean, they're nothing that amazing, are they? Mr. Noodles. By divine ordinance adds to 168, 7-fold set of 888s. Do the math yourself. Grade 3 children can do the math. Mr. Noodles. There you go. And now 2 of the biggest words in all of Foodville. When you consider that all of these pasta products that get put in cans and Chef Boyardee and Alphagetti Zoodles, Heinz spaghetti. It's all tomato sauce, okay? It's wheat and tomato sauce. Well, tomato. Tomato equals 84, and potato, as in potato chips, potato fries, whatever you want to make from potatoes, is 87. And I want to zoom in on this because this is insane. Like, if this isn't enough to just put you over the top and just make you totally hungry for this whole story, look at that. Look at the word potato and the word tomato. They both divide by 3. It's by divine ordinance in 6 letters. Like, I'm going to write this one on the board because this is so obvious what God is up to in the word tomato and the word potato. I mean, these words, you have to imagine, are being spoken and thought in the minds of people probably millions of times a second as I speak. Well, God, this is what you have to understand, okay? This is what you must understand. God's pleasure is always maximum at all times, mathematically. God, who knows the thoughts and words on the lips of every single person in this world, okay, is literally hearing in his brain, so to speak, the word tomato and the word potato processing through the brains and minds of men and on the lips of people millions of times per second. And God insists that each one of those instances be mathematically gorgeous to glorify himself, who is three people. He is the eternal Trinity God of three persons, God the Father, Jesus Christ the Son, and the Holy Ghost. And he is so nuts about himself. He is so full of himself because he is God. And he is so passionate about love because he is love that he does not stop hearing and producing this number three at all times because he is three people in eternal love. So now that you have God's perspective, okay, God is literally hearing the word potato in his ears millions of times per second. And he's hearing the word tomato in his ears millions of times per second. Well, he insists that those words be mathematically perfect to bring him pleasure as the three-in-one God. And so that's why we are taking the time to look at what God has ordained in the word tomato and potato. Okay, I've already showed you the grand total, but we're just going to look at the letters so that you will never see this universe the same ever again. Tomato and potato, they both have 6 letters, 3 plus 3. Okay, you can count the number of strokes, and when you do, I did it on the computer. Both of them, the strokes for all of them in all capitals adds to 24 888. That's an average of 12 per word. I believe it's 11 for potato and 13 for tomato, both of which glorify the number 3. 11 and 13 are both all factor 3 numbers. 13 is the 6th prime, which is a double of 3. 11 is the 5th prime, which is a turbo 3rd prime, hits 3. 6 letters, 3 plus 3, 24 letters total, divides by 3, and then the grand total of each differs by 3. What was it? Tomato is 84. Okay, the grand totals of both divide by 3, differing by 3 points. Because the only letter that is different between tomato and potato is, of course, the M and the P, which are 13 and 16 respectively, differing by 3 points exactly. Okay? You're staring at the mind of God. So stop and stay a while, just like Mary did, sitting at the feet of Jesus. Don't go out there rushing around trying to do something of your own. Believe me, you won't be able to do nothing compared to God. That's why it's far better for everyone, including all the men who love to think they can do something great and feel macho, to sit down and study what God has done and been doing for the past 6,000 years and realize that it's all about Him, and His works are going to trounce everyone's works combined by a factor of infinity, yet amazingly He works through people, but He makes sure He always gets the glory for everything using numbers. Okay? Far better to see and observe and worship than to strive and lust and attempt to achieve something in your own strength. So, tomato and potato. What else do you see? Well, they end in the famous O, which is 15, God's favorite number to glorify the number 3. Now you know why God has ordained so many Spanish and Italian and Latin words to end with O. Because O is king for the number 3. 15. Okay, 3 times the third prime. So in fact they end in the same, the last 3 letters, ato, which adds to 36. 21 here, 15 there. Tomato, potato. Are you starting to get the pleasure of God that is running through his brain millions of times a second? Tomato, potato. Just, you know, as I speak, someone is saying, hey, can you pass the potato chips? Can you pass it, you know? Okay. And then another O in here, repeated. And so Tom and pot both divide by 3, of course. And count the strokes, count the letters. So there you go. We've solved the word tomato and the word potato. And I mean, how big are these industries? And then what gets really cool is when you go deeper, you go into the etymology. It's called etymology, the root of where words come from. And you dig into that history and you'll get even more amazing gold of what God ordained. For example, a root of the word tomato is tomate. Okay, in Spanish, this O is an E. Well, what's amazing about that, tomate, is that it equals Jesus in English. Okay, so it's like God always has this 1-2 punch on you in world history. God has been sovereign over the development of these words through time in their exact synchronization for his maximum pleasure. Stunning. If I can say one truth about the average human being concerning what they think about God, it is that by and large 99.99999% of human beings underestimate just how good and sovereign and in control God really is. Let me say that again. You definitely underestimate just how knowledgeable and how smart and how good God really is. You really do. And the more you grow in God and you draw near to God and you hear from God, the more you understand that you have been completely disbelieving in how good he really is. And the majority of people around you are completely unbelieving as to how good and God-centric this whole story is. So, when you discovered that the original word for tomato is tomate in Spanish with an E, do you panic and say, oh, what does that mean, Derek? What does that mean, that it was spelled differently at some point in history? You don't have to worry at all, because God was sovereign over that spelling at that time. And like I just said, when you do the math on that spelling, it adds perfectly to Jesus. And I testify that some of the juiciest gems are the ones that you have to dig for in world history. You got to go into the past. In fact, they almost always are. For example, go to the root of the company Heinz. Where does that name come from? Well, it comes from Henry John Heinz, the founder of Heinz. And in 3 words, okay, for his name, 3 names. It glorifies the number 3 through the law of prime. His name is the 41st prime, which is in turn the 13th prime. And then, which is in turn the 6th prime. And there you stop, because you are no longer prime, and that's a double of 3. So it always glorifies the number 3. So, tomate equals Jesus, equals Messiah, equals cross, equals gospel, equals the King, for example. And then when you go to the scientific, what's really fun? Oh, this is one of my favorite parts, because this is really going to irk the scientific community that loves to think that, you know, I'm not even going to talk about it. It's silly. Science without God is the stupidest thing you could possibly imagine. Go to the scientific names for the tomato. Do the math on the scientific name for the tomato, and you'll be blown away how it glorifies the number 3. And same with potatoes. Go to the scientific names of everything. Do the math on it. You'll get more 3s coming at you. Using the law of prime and all the rest of it. Like this, I believe tomato is like a double of the famous 127, which is the 3-digit number. The first 3-digit number that deduces directly to 3 by the law of prime. And when you double something, you just emphasize it. Okay? And that's just the grand total. And you look at how all the letters like are linking together to make threes everywhere down the pipe, and you're just like, how is it possible that we're not teaching about God as three persons in even some of our churches? Not the least, we're not even teaching it in our schools. Like, and everywhere I look in this universe, at all times, I'm seeing the number three. And we're just going to keep going, solving stuff. So there you go. We saw tomato and potato. What else is on our cheat sheet? Oh yeah, so let's just finish off this pasta night here. So pasta equals wheat equals 57. Boyardee divides by 3. Why has everyone heard the name Boyardee? Why is it written on giant capital letters on the cover of this can? And why on earth is it Boyardee? Like, who in their right mind would come up with the name Boyardee? Like, what? What did you say? Boyardee? And yet everyone knows that. Like, it's the most silly sounding word of all time, but everyone in North America knows it. Oh yeah, Boyardee. Yeah, that's like the pasta in the can, right? Why? Well, because Boyardee divides by 3 perfectly and beautifully. Because God is sovereign. And He's 3 people. And, oh, this is a real fun one. I'm going to do this one on the board. Oh, one other big gem. And as you dig into the history of the Heinz Company, you will discover that it was originally called Heinz, Noble, and Company. That's what came out of the lips of the original founders. That was the name of the company, Heinz, Noble, and Company. Do the math on that yourself. I'll show you it right here. That adds to the famous 216. Right there. The original name of the Heinz Company. That's 8. That's 888, tripled and tripled again. A triple of triple eights. The famous 216. Heinz, Noble, and Company. And that's why you go to the root. You go to the origin of all of these names and companies that we have today. You go to the root, and that's where you will find the best juice mathematically for the glory of God, because God always insists that He gets the first fruits for everything. Well, He takes everything, but in particular, the origin will always be the juiciest mathematically. Why is that the case? Because number one, it is most satisfying to dig up something. The best gold was always the deepest. It's satisfying to do that effort. God has given us that ability. Now, all of a sudden, history is a great treasure hunt. Kids are excited to learn history. People are excited to dig up the past. They're searching for the gold in God's perfect story of human history. And it produces more appreciation in people for history, and I could go on. And it mirrors everything God has taught about, the first being the best and all that stuff. So, oh yeah, and then as you go about shopping today, never forget that, it's the Christmas season coming in, a lot of people. And there's a ton of talk about customer service coming into the Christmas season. Customer service and consumer service. Customer and consumer both divide by 3, starting with C, which equals 3, and service divides by 3. In fact, it's pure 3. So, let's finish off this video to start a new one. And then representative divides by 3. So a customer service representative divides by 3. What I want you to see and feel, above all, is that this world and this universe in which you exist is perfectly planned by God. And everything that goes on is for His glory. And He is so nuts about the number 3 that He will fill this universe with such an embarrassing profusion of the number, it is beyond human comprehension and all matter of manpower to harvest it all. And you need to understand that God is love and that God is sovereign. and that he is mathematically flawless, and that he works through people. And thank God that he is in control and you're not, because he's way more loving than you are. He's way more intelligent than you are. He's way more powerful and rich and resourceful and wise than you are. Therefore, it's much better that he be in control rather than you. Thank God he's in control and I'm not. If you had an expert driver in the vehicle and you had an amateur driver in the vehicle, would you want the professional driver driving this vehicle down a long and treacherous journey all over the world? Or would you want the amateur driver doing it? Maybe it's an airplane and not a road vehicle. Well, God is the ultimate professional driver. Thank God he is driving my vehicle and not me. Oh, thank God. Okay, so let's finish off this video with one last gem. What have we been holding in our hands for this past 15 minutes, more or less? Cans, okay? Metal cans. I mean, there's more metal cans on this planet than there are people. But they are a tool in the story of God that bless people. I mean, we can distribute food to people that need the food very efficiently in metal cans by means of all the steps of the process involved in manufacturing and supply chains and such. Where are we? Okay. Where's my honey? Where's my super soup? Okay, no, we are going to erase something here. Thank God for video. You can speed up and slow stuff down and skip over pauses. That's why everything should be on video. Have you ever wondered why we have several thousand teachers in a single province all saying the same thing from the same textbook at the same time in schoolhouses, when we could just do outstanding videos once of all that material, have them online free for all the students, and cut down all of the teaching manpower to like far less than it is now and set a lot more people free? It's called efficiency. Oh man. So, that is the blessing of video. So, I just want to finish this video. I mean, a metal can, okay? So first of all, the word metal and the word can both divide by 3, just like the word wood. Okay, so the Triune God takes the glory for all metal and all wood. And element equals Jesus. But I want you to see the total beauty and the obviousness in the letters in metal can. Because there's so many metal cans of all shapes and sizes and weights in this universe, we should solve them all right now for the glory of the Triune God. Well, this is very, very special and very easy. Here's the 2 letters that divide by 3 individually. Perfect. They're right side by side. Divine, that this links up together. Metal can. Okay? If you're really good, you will put the word of in here, because the 2 letters in of both divide by 3 as well. So then you could talk about a can of metal, or metal of whatever. Can of metal, that would get the bookends dividing by 3, and then the 2 letters in of divided by 3. But speaking of bookends, so there's the chain links there. 12 and 3 make 15. And then mn make 27, the perfect cube of 3. Just like this. 27, the perfect cube of 3. 3 times 3 times 3. And then let's pull over another color here. We are going to go blue. And then take the center letter of metal and the center letter of can, and they knit together to make 21, a 7-fold set of 3s. And then you've got the two letters EA in metal that's knit together to make 6, a double of 3. That's just one way you can do it, but that's focusing on symmetry. Okay, and it's so beautiful. It's just the way it is. It's God's ordinance. So if we were to kind of color code all this, symmetry there. Bookends make 27, the perfect cube of 3. Center letter of each make multiple of 3. These two vowels multiple of 3, and then the L and the C are the two letters that divide by 3. All by themselves. So what does that all add to? Well, the word can is 18, the word metal is 39, is 51. So 51 plus 18 adds to 69, that's a triple of 23, which is the 9th prime. Now you know why Michael Jordan wore the number 23. And he also wore the number 45, which divides by 3, and the number 9, which divides by 3 at the Olympics. 23 is the 9th prime, glorifies the number 3. And of course in basketball, 3 points is like the biggest shot you can take. And I could go on about the life of Michael Jordan, which I've solved big time for the number 3. But there you go. Every metal can has now been, and every can, by the way, C equals 3. Every metal can has been solved in world history. And grade 3 children can do the math. So there you go. Every metal can has been solved in world history, to the glory of the Triune God, along with a bunch of other passage terms. Now I got so many fun products to get through in the rest of these videos. That's just an introduction, but it's going to take a while. Well, not that long. We can do it fast, but I prefer to squeeze some good detail out of this. So there you go. On to the next stuff. Amen equals 33.